Hello, I was making a video, one of the last videos about the Wentworth estate, and I was talking about the magic in the and the creepiness in parts of the whole of the estate and the land. And I'm outside one of the follies. I don't know whether you can see this. This is the Huber stand folly, which is quite magnificent really when you think about the layout of the land. I don't know whether you can see in the distance, but just there to the right of the sun, there's Keppel's Column, which is another folly. And these follies were erected, well, this one was erected in the 18th century, and they talk about it being put there to do with an unlawful rebellion. There was lots of unlawful rebellions, but the peasants weren't doing as they were told, because obviously this land was bequeathed and passed on from heir to heir through this Fitzwilliam bloodline, which actually was a bloodline that connects to the Kennedy family and some of the other aristocratical families, not least the Devonshires over in Derbyshire. But it's a pyramid shape. It's a pyramid shape obelisk, and it's pyramid for a reason, of course. And the obelisk is another Masonic symbol. And they say it was used as a watchtower in the Second World War, and it probably was. And you can visit the place, and it's an amazing part of the, like I said, the landscape. But one of the reasons why I've come up here to talk to you is to explain a little bit more about the stuff going on in the woods. And if you can see the woods behind me here, there's there's quite a vibe to it. There's a natural indent in the woods. There's a cave round the back there which relates to some of the mining and stuff like that that's gone over the years, the quarrying. It's a quarry area. And this is where, well, just down that area there, down the back behind me, where I'm pointing now, the cluster of woods where the sun is where a group of us as children saw this Bigfoot-like character. There's definitely something here in terms of the vibe of the place. And as I've said in many other videos, you can go anywhere and be on your own, but sooner or later people turn up, because nature certainly abhors a vacuum. You open a door, you leave your glass empty, you go for a walk in nature, and sooner or later somebody, something will come along. Yeah, so the area's seen a lot of activity, like UFO activity, of course. It's common. It's not an unusual thing especially when you're into these subjects and you start digging a little deeper into the nature of reality. And like I say, when we were kids, obviously biking is become a feature of the area as well. When we were kids, this was, I don't know about you lot listening to this, but especially at my age, but the 70s and the 80s seemed a little bit more ethereal. The energies were different. Of course they would be, because today you have all of this technology that is bombarding our subtle bodies, our ethereal bodies, and our physical bodies biologically as well. And coming into nature, especially at these times, if you can kind of avoid crowds as well, is really good for the soul. It really puts you in this connection, this heart connection, not only with the earth, of course, that's that's kind of standard. You ask any fisherman who fishes, and I used to fish at one time, it's like a form of meditation. You're out there fishing and you're setting yourself up for the day, sitting quietly, just watching the water, especially coarse fishing. And it is like meditation. It is like a kind of almost a Buddhist practice of some kind. And it's the same with coming into nature and just being at one with the trees or the wherever you are. The standing stones as well, especially in Britain and in Europe, have some major connections to the energy and the ley lines I was talking about earlier. So there are no standing stones here. It's just the the nature of the layout of the land, the unusual follies that were put there by bloodline elite, Freemasonic connected secret societies, ancient families with much power and wealth at that time. The power's still there, but in different areas now. And I find it quite interesting that here as well you have all these strange activities. Like I said in one of the videos, there's been lots of people up here filming what seems like, you know, kind of haunted paranormal activity, you know, like most haunted kind of episodes you see on various networks. So that is one of the qualities that you'd feel here if you came here, whether you'd see Bigfoot or not. I haven't seen anything since. It was a childhood thing. It was something that frequented my my sight on several occasions, but that one particular occasion was memorable because of the place and the company and the times as well. It was sort of late 70s. Yeah, funnily enough, I was watching an Arthur C. Clarke. Remember Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World? I was watching an episode of that many, many years later in the 80s when I saw, I couldn't believe it, I saw the what I thought we'd seen at the edge of the woods in this area. I think the Roger Patterson film, I know it's been hotly debated, and I'm not an expert on cinema and film in that way, but there's something about that footage that feels genuine. Just feels that way. Anyway, I'm going to head back. The sun is now going down. It's a beautiful sunset and it's a lovely area if you come and meditate here. That's what I'm going to be doing during the spring and summer, is inviting people to come and meditate in nature with me, ignoring every rule that's thrown at us by these sick and misguided characters that happen to run our government and our institutions. Why are we paying attention to them when they know nothing of the spirit of humanity? They just want to crush our spirits, and they've had a good go at it. Anyway, turn your face to the sun and let the shadows fall behind you. And the land itself, like I say, was bequeathed, and the land was from what I've read in some parts, was given to the Wentworth, or became the Wentworth estate, or the Wentworth family, going back to the time of the Saxons. And the most well-known one was the title of the Earl of Stratford, who was who owned the estate at one time, going back to the early 1700s. The Masonic infighting that was going on, especially within the families themselves as well. Freemasonry, which really, became prominent in the mid 18th century, was entrenched in the aristocratical families, and this being Osiris's penis, triangular obelisk. And if you know a little bit about Egypt, you understand what Osiris really is a symbol of. And I go into some depth in my book Orion's Door to do with the connections of Orion and Osiris and Egypt, obviously, the pyramids and all the rest of it. The Orion correlation is one thing, of course, but the symbolism itself relating to the bloodlines, the Nephilim, and so-called extraterrestrial deities and gods, are rulers of the ancient world. And this is not the Ancient Alien channel, but you get the idea. Which actually is no surprise, because one of the things that always intrigued me, coming from this area and being born just over that way, was the amount of interdimensional dreams and things that I'd picked up on over the years, especially as a child. The Bigfoot thing is also connected to that, because these areas here where you have this kind of triangular connection in a ley line between these follies, and you've got one in the distance over there, you're looking at what feels to me like a portal into another reality. In places like this on the earth, there are very, very fine vibrational doorways or gateways into those worlds, and it's probably why I saw what I saw, and it's probably why others have seen other things. And there's been an observatory over there for many, you see the white thing there, there's been an observatory there for many, many years. So, you know, the connection to the stars, the idea of alignment in that way, I could talk about that in another video, but it's a very, very interesting little place. Always was, always will be. So I've come down to the woods, the area where we used to come as kids. This is the rookery. We used to call it the rookery, and just beyond the rookery that way are a series of other smaller wooded areas. But this is the area where we saw what seemed to be a Bigfoot-like character. The characteristics of the sightings are very similar all over the world. You know, that now you see them, now you don't sightings. But this place was really magical as well as a kid, because you can just see, well, you can see behind me, you can just see what looked like the nests in the trees, you know, the rooks, birds' nests. This place in the 70s and 80s was absolutely full of trees and full of rooks and crows and other, where the magic happened, you know, where the imagination would be activated. And what is the imagination? What is it really? Some visionary artist like William Blake said imagination was the nearest thing to our language or our connection with what some choose to call God. You know, the God force or the infinite, the creator, and all those things I've talked about before. So yeah. Still got that peacefulness about it. That kind of magic is still there. Even if there are chemtrails overhead. That makes me wonder about some of the symptoms of this so-called coronavirus. Maybe I'll talk about that another time. But there's something definitely in the atmosphere. And it's also connected to technology that are giving people certain problems. Not least the gene therapy, which everybody knows about. They say that spirit comes on the wind, and it sure does. You can feel it building. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little excursions in nature. I just thought I'd add this little video clip to the end. I'm gonna go home now and have a Yorkshire cup of tea.